Why can't you stop thinking about them? For many survivors of narcissistic abuse, the relationship ends. But the thinking never does. Days, weeks, months, or even years later, the mind still cycles around the abuser, analysing what happened, replaying conversations, obsessing over their current life, imagining revenge or reconciliation, searching for meaning in every detail. It's a loop, and it feels maddening. This isn't ordinary heartbreak. It's not simple longing. It's not codependency. And it's certainly not weakness. It is the ongoing psychological, symbolic, and neurobiological consequence of having been inverted by another person's disorder. The inability to stop thinking about the narcissist is not the problem. It is the symptom of a deeper structural trauma that still hasn't been resolved. This talk explores why that thinking persists, not in vague therapeutic terms, but in clear psychological and symbolic ones. It explains what actually happened inside you, what is still happening, and why that loop won't break until something inside you gets reclaimed. If you've ever asked yourself, why can't I let go? This is your answer. Trauma is not a memory, it's recurrence. Most people understand trauma as something that happened in the past, a memory that haunts, but survivors of narcissistic abuse, trauma isn't just a memory, it's a recurrence, a felt ongoing presence. That presence is not just the echo of the narcissist, but a live structure still running inside your psyche. This is why you can't just move on. You're not remembering them, you're still in them. What makes narcissistic abuse unique is that it does not simply wound, it reconfigures. The narcissist does not hurt you and leave. They colonize your sense of self, reverse your internal compass, and install themselves as a kind of governing authority inside you. This internalization is not metaphorical, it's structural. You begin to think with their logic, anticipate their gaze, feel with their disapproval. It becomes a loop, and your thoughts, dreams, and emotional fixations are no longer your own. You are now distorted by a pattern you didn't author. You're not obsessed. You're entangled in a symbolic loop that still believes they hold the answer to your pain, your identity, your peace. That's not your memory. That's psychic entrapment. In classical object relations theory, the concept of an internal object refers to how people form representations of others within the psyche. For healthy individuals, those internalized objects are cohesive, secure, and allow for emotional independence. But when someone experiences narcissistic abuse, especially in an intimate or caregiving context, that object gets internalized. It is not stable, it's distorted, it's weaponized, and fused with emotional need. The narcissist becomes what Fairbairn would call a bad object, but not one you can eject, because the narcissist conditioned you to believe that they were the source of meaning, love, safety, approval, reality, all filtered through their gaze. Their mind holds on to that object long after the relationship ends because it was not simply a person you loved, it was the object you used to understand who you were. So when survivors ask, why can't I stop thinking about them? The answer is because the internal object hasn't been separated from the self. You're not replaying memories, you're living through an internalized symbolic structure, one that you are mistakenly still treating as necessary for your survival. That object never left because it's inside you. How the narcissist becomes a symbolic fixation. Desire in its healthy form is to pull towards meaning, connection, vitality, but under narcissistic abuse, that desire gets hijacked. Instead of desiring someone for who they are, you begin to desire them for what they represent: resolution, validation, reparation, completion. The narcissist constructs a shared fantasy in which they are both the wound and the cure. They become the very thing you are trying to fix and the person who will reward you for fixing it. This creates a circular desire loop. You don't just want them, you want what being wanted by them would mean. You want the pain to become the proof that it was love. You want the story to redeem itself. That is what makes the fixation so intense. It's not about missing them, it's about wanting to convert a traumatic lie into a truth you can live with. You're trying to reverse the betrayal by mentally completing the fantasy. That's not obsession, that's unresolved symbolic inversion. It feels compulsive because it was built to be. The loop was designed to never close because its purpose was to keep you emotionally hooked, not fulfilled. Alongside the symbolic structure, there is real physiological basis for your thoughts. Narcissistic abuse causes dysregulation in the nervous system, particularly through chronic stress, inconsistent reinforcement, and betrayal trauma. The result is a nervous system locked in hypervigilance and incomplete threat response. Each intrusive thought is not just a cognitive loop, it's a neurobiological activation. Your brain is trained to search for danger, anticipate abandonment, and seek resolution. Rumination is not voluntary, it is a survival mechanism trying to regulate unresolved cues. Even in the absence of the narcissist, the system stays bound. Their voice, their moods, their absence, all encoded as signals. And when the system doesn't get closure or safety, it loops. This is why your thoughts return in waves, unbidden at nights, in dreams, during moments of calm. It is not weakness, it is your body trying to finish a process that the narcissist kept you from completing. What you're experiencing is not mental attachment, it is unfinished survival. Mirrored psychic inversion theory describes this process as more than trauma. It is symbolic reversal. The survivor is not merely wounded, but structurally reversed. The narcissist gaze becomes the internal authority, the shared fantasy becomes the symbolic compass, and the survivor's libidinal self, the part that desires, creates, chooses, is turned against the self. This is why you think about them constantly, because part of you was symbolically authored through them. You became the internal redeemer, trying to fix what could never be fixed, and every thought is a continuation of that role. We can frame this not as obsession, but as looped symbolic authorship. You're still operating with the narcissist psychic architecture. You haven't stopped thinking about them because, in a deep and tragic way, your inner world was reconstructed around their presence, and now their absence is equally animated. Till the loop is broken, not just externally, but symbolically. The thoughts persist. The loop ends not when they're gone, but when you're the one who's back. The waking death. And then it finally happens. You cry. But this isn't normal crying. The crying is so deep, so guttural, it tears through your body like a scream with no voice. You cry until your nervous system buckles, until your face contorts involuntarily, until your chest forgets how to breathe, until there is nothing left but the sound of your grief bouncing back off the walls of your own skull. This isn't mourning, this is death, and you are awake for it. It's the death of two things: the self you were, the one who once believed, the object you loved, the one who never existed. You feel a dread that no words can capture, a badness, a hollowness, a rupture that splits not only memory and emotion, but existence itself. And worst of all, no one sees it, no one can feel it with you, because you're not even visible to yourself anymore. This moment is not caused by sadness, it's executed by force. It has a name: inverse mirrored reflexive apathy. The mirror watches you break and does nothing. It reflects back your agony at you. Cold, silent, exact. No judgment, no care, no touch. It doesn't mock you. It doesn't argue. It just watches. And by doing so, it kills you without laying a hand. You're not thinking anymore. You're not grieving. You're seeking closure. You're inside the execution chamber of collapse. And the door only opens when you stop waiting for the mirror to speak, because it never will.